this is a monstera fruit, which honestly has to be the weirdest fruit in the whole world. They've got these like tiny hexagons that all join up, and then it actually ripens from the top down, and it's poisonous unless it is ripe. So you can only eat a little bit at a time, and you have to wait a few days, and then you can eat a little bit more, and then wait a few days, and you can eat a little bit more. And as it ripens, the skin kind of falls off in these little chunks like this, and then this is the ripe fruit, and it tastes, I guess, kind of like a pineapple? Like a pineapple and maybe a guava combined. It's a weird taste, but it's so delicious and sweet. But it's kind of, I always don't trust eating them because I'm scared I'm gonna get poisoned. Yum. It's delicious. Maybe a strawberry, a pineapple and a strawberry combined. They're actually a weed in this climate as well, and they're actually, you might recognize them as a very popular houseplant all over the world, but here they just go wild because it's the right climate for them, so they kind of grow up all the trees, and yeah, a bit of a weed as well. Everything's a weed. Excuse me. No, those are the good guavas. Those are not Maggie guavas. Do you want this one? These are red guavas, and they're my favorite. They've got the most amazing flesh inside. Yeah, you want it. No, you can have the skin. Yeah, don't get my hands dirty. Maggie loves them. The rest of the goats don't love them that much. They've gone on an adventure, but Maggie just loves them. And they're actually a bit of a weed around here, because the seeds spread so intensely, but they're also really yummy. So we just keep an eye on them to see if there's any new saplings coming up to make sure they're not spreading. And they're delicious. Mmm!
Miles and miles
So this is about all that we have left of the pecan nuts this year. The white cockatoos have been getting into them and eating all of them. They just sit there all afternoon with their little claws all excited eating their favourite nuts. With the changing climate, the white cockatoos have come to this land a lot more. In the drought years, they realised that they could come here and there was water when there wasn't water out west and more the deserts of Australia. So we get a lot of white cockatoos now, and they eat all of the fruit all year round because they're like so spoilt by it. They're like, why would I leave? There they are. What are they up to? Even though they eat all our fruit, they're still pretty lovable. They're such sweeties. I think they live for over 100 years and they can learn so many words of English and do all these amazing things. There they are. This is a macadamia tree, and we've got lots all over the farm. There's many trees, and they haven't dropped their fruit yet, but their nuts are on the tree and they're kind of just getting ready to drop probably in a month. And they're actually native to this tiny region of Australia on the east coast, and I think the original trees that they were taken from and then bred into what we know macadamias as today, there's actually one remaining of those trees that's just over the hill from us, so that's pretty cool. Now I think they're majorly grown in South Africa and maybe Hawaii, which is funny because this is where they come from, but we don't grow that many here for commercial use. This is the yellow guava tree, and I do like the red guavas better, but this has to be my favourite guava tree on the farm. It's massive, it reaches so far. We had a neighbour that used to always come here and she'd make her special guava jam from this tree. It's so delicious. It's good for making jams because of the size of the guavas, they're massive. Oh, that one's a bit rotten. Lucky these paper wasps seem to have left their nest, because if they hadn't, I would be out of here. If they sting you, it feels like you're being shot, so I don't like them. So I'm taking you on this tour of the food forest because there's a big weather system building that's going to hit this afternoon, and so I'm just trying to pick all of the fruit before then so it doesn't fall off the trees. The smell of the monstera is like nothing else. It's so sweet and fragrant. These are custard apples, which are amazing. They're so delicious. They taste like custard, as the name suggests, and Julia makes this sort of a sauce from them where she cooks them in spices and then puts it on tacos and in Mexican food, and it's so delicious. I love it so much. We normally pick them more in the winter, like in maybe June or July, but we're going to try to pick one now because we waited too long last year and most of them got eaten by birds. So we're going to pick one of the bigger ones and see if it ripens early. We just feel so lucky to live in this place with all of these fruit trees that were planted by our grandparents and parents. It's funny, our opa used to take people for tours around the farm all the time, and he'd go around and tell the story of every tree, and weirdly that's what we do now too, and I feel like this video is a bit of a tribute to that.
Last year we wrote a book about the fruit trees, the stories, the land, and everything that goes on here. We're constantly inspired by nature and learning lessons every day, so it felt really special to put that all into a book. You can buy it following the link in our description or from bookstores all around the world. We're so excited and proud. And I think our Opa would be too. What are you looking at? You don't want to go down.
I know that I say that every tree is my favourite tree, but this one might be my favourite. This is the jackfruit tree, and it normally produces fruit that are like this big, and they're just so nutritious and amazing. You can make kind of fake meat out of them or different things. They're delicious. But this year we had no fruit. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it was too wet or too dry, or maybe it produced a lot of fruit 2 years ago and then not many for the next 2 years. So maybe it just works in cycles? I'm not sure.
It's a huge lychee tree, and there's a few of them here. There's a bit of an orchard of lychees, but we haven't had fruit for years because they need to be pruned to produce fruit, and we haven't got around to it. But maybe this will be the year that we prune them, so we'll just cut back a whole section, and you have to do it in the winter because the summer light can be too harsh and can hurt the tree. So maybe this winter will be the year that we finally prune them.
This is a persimmon, and it's starting to lose its leaves because it's a deciduous tree, which is always funny to see. But it has no fruit this year. It's a tree that's originally from Asia, so it doesn't do that well here, but we get a bit of fruit every year. This is the mango orchard, and there's so many mango trees in here. We had a good season this year. We picked quite a lot, but again, it's another tree that we need to start pruning to get more fruit from. So that's another job on the list. They go a lot better in dry years than wet years because the flowers don't fall off in the spring when they're growing. So this year we had a dry spring, and that's why they went well. And other years that we've had a good mango year were complete droughts when we got no rain. So it's always a bit of a weird thing because when you get a drought and you're, sad and it's hard for the farm, it's also a good mango year, so you get one bad thing and one good thing. My allergies have been so terrible this week, and I've just discovered why. This weed, if you can see that, is just full of pollen, and it's all coming out in these big clouds, so that's why I'm sneezing all day, every day. Look at that. This is pitanga, or money tree, and it grows into this massive nut, like about this big. But it has no real use, and our Opa planted it here, thinking that it would be good for something. And it turns out that it's just a bit of a weed that grows really big and is really hard to get rid of. And he used to always say in his very heavy Dutch accent, "That tree is fucking useless." This is the red jambu tree, which is an Indonesian fruit which is kind of like a water bottle. It's just a tiny little juicy watermelon kind of apple thing. And it's delicious and really good for salads and different things. It's funny, I think Indonesian fruits seem to grow best in this climate because the subtropical climate just really suits those kind of luscious fruits. You want some fruit?
What do you want? Do you want a guava? Yeah, one guava. He likes the food.
Why cockatoo? No, like, no. The sheep's role on the farm is to eat all of the fallen fruit and all of the weeds that come up, and they love it. They're always eating fruit. Most of them are named after fruit. This is black sapodi. They're such sweeties, but the goats are better at eating more of the weeds that come up, like camphor laurels and lantana, and the sheep are better at eating grass and keeping the orchards down so that the grass doesn't overtake them. And they're better at eating fruit. Aren't you? You love fruit. It's funny, I think they might be the most spoiled sheep in the world. Their diet just consists of fruit. Whatever's in season. They always know what tree is in season and they go running. They normally know before me, they tell me. Oi! No! No! No fruit for you. You can eat the fruit off the trees. You don't get my fruit that I've collected. Citrus season is coming and I'm so excited. I say every season's my favourite, but citrus season's so special. I love baking cakes and discovering all these new recipes because you have so much citrus that you don't know what to do with. This is a bush lemon and they're getting really big. So we haven't had a ram for the sheep in years, and then last year we got Sardinia here, who's a little cutie, and he's a Wiltshire horn, and we only have 2 girls because the flock's been getting quite small because we hadn't had a ram, I don't know, for many, many years. And these 2 girls might be pregnant, and they might have little tiny babies. What? They are pregnant for 5 months, and I don't know when or if they're pregnant yet, so sometime in the winter. This is a hog plum, or I can't remember their other names, but they're native to Southeast Asia, I think, and it seems like everyone has a different name for them. From Sri Lanka to the Philippines, everyone cooks something different, has a different name, and I really want to learn how to cook from them this year because I've never really successfully made much. It's always not that nice. But I think we cook with the green ones, not the yellow ones. This is when they're ripe, they turn yellow, but before they're ripe, they're green. Oh my gosh, this is wild. This is a cover crop that we planted a few months ago and it's gotten a bit out of control. I think it's really good. We should probably chop it back now that it's flowered. It's really beautiful. But the thing is, we planted it here we planted an orchard of trees in here just earlier and it's overtaken, so we don't even know where the trees are. So it's supposed to bring nutrients into the soil and protect it from too much sun and keep the water in the soil as well, but we don't know where the trees that we planted are. So I have the cane knife out so that I can chop through this jungle and try to find the trees. So to put the nitrogen back into the soil, we should have cut it down before it flowered, but this way we're hoping that it will flower and then put seeds back into the soil so that it'll come up as a cover crop again next year, so we don't need to plant it. This is tree lucerne, which is a really good fodder crop, and our opa planted it years ago and the goats just love it. It fills them up really well and it's great in this season as we go into winter, and we've got so much grass now, as you can see. We're overwhelmed with growth, but soon all of the grass will die off and we won't have much feed for the goats and sheep, so this kind of stuff is really good. This is a little bit out of control though. I don't think we should have let it grow in this much. I'm lost in a jungle.
I have found a citrus tree. I'm just gonna clear around it so that it actually gets some light in here. But this is coming down quite well, even though this cane knife is so blunt. Once we find the trees, we can brush cut in here, so we just need to mark where they are so that we don't brush cut them. I'm honestly surprised that I didn't see a snake in here, because I know there's a brown snake that lives just there, and there's a few whip snakes that live just there, and there's a red-bellied black that lives just there. But they must all be getting sleepy for the cold season.
Thank you so much to our patrons for your support, helping us to continue caring for this food forest and plant more orchards for the future.